Happy Saturday, Wes Fortney here. Just want to report a couple things kind of odd in New York State here. I was a New York State certified disabled veteran owned business in construction and did some work for a nonprofit Cattaraugus County Community Action Program, which is over at a Salamanca. Uh, did several projects, and then I subcontracted a couple of projects, about $30,000 worth. And at the end of those projects, the program coordinator and the project manager through their program reached out to me to have me certify funds that were paid to my company, which were directly passed through to a subcontractor. At that time, I couldn't work on the projects at all. So I had a couple other contractors do it. Common in the business, no big deal. One contractor gets a project, doesn't have time or the expertise or manpower, whatever reason. So they have another contractor they subcontract it to and let them do it. The odd part here is that the Cattaraugus County Community Action Program director and that project manager for the specific projects that I'm speaking about uh, wanted my company to certify that the funds they had paid were qualified as payments to a certified disabled veteran-owned business. The requirements for that, though, are that at least 20% of the project must be done by the service disabled veteran contractor. And I actually did none of the work on the project whatsoever, so I refused. They continuously reached out to me, and it was almost like getting leaned on by somebody, if you know what I mean. They're acting pretty much like gangsters, and so I got a little bit brutal with them and told them, no way, this is definitely not going to happen, and contacted the program director, Kenneth Williams in Albany, who certifies the service disabled veteran owned businesses for the state of New York. Works, like I said, for the Office of General Services. So this gentleman, we talked about it a little bit. He was a little bit standoffish, almost acting like I had done something wrong. And I was very clear in saying, hey, I contacted you about this, saying that I thought something might be up and that I should not certify that these funds will be qualified payments in the state of New York's eyes to a service disabled veteran owned business. Um, the whole system's kind of funny. If you want more information, there's a lot available online in the New York State websites, or Kenneth Williams would probably answer you. If you Google his name, it has an email and there's a phone number to the program. People work there. Uh, so anyway, back to the story here. So I contact Kenneth, let him know I do not want to certify it because I'm worried about fraud. This would be an illegal certification saying that these state funds were paid to a service disabled veteran owned business, and they would get credits for having met the disadvantaged business program mandates for the state of New York state contractors. So anybody contracting with New York typically will have requirements for minority and women-owned business or disabled businesses and disabled veteran-owned businesses. So the county guys were trying to get their credits. Uh, Kenneth's solution was to email me. If you're interested in seeing the email, I'll probably have that up on my website, wesfortney.net, WESFORTNEY.net, in the near future here. Although I'm having some problems with that website. There's a video that I have on YouTube. I also posted directly to that website, and it keeps getting taken down. I guess it's hurting people's feelings or something because it's got a couple of memes people might not like or whatever. Pretty strange that you can't say something in America, and if it's can't say something that's your opinion or your ideas and have it be available for everybody to see, it gets taken down. So I know YouTube and Twitter and some of the other social media sites are doing the same type of things. It's unfortunate. So anyway, I got the email that said basically I was allowed to certify those funds despite the fact that they were not certifiable legally. And I decided not to certify them. And I went back and forth. The Cat County guys are really just kind of getting nasty with me. And I told them straight up, this is fraud. Do not contact me again. I got a call about a year later out of the blue from Kenneth Williams, the director of the New York State Disabled Veteran Owned Business Certification Program. And he was asking me why I wasn't certifying. And I had to explain it to him as well. This would be fraud. And I would be liable for criminal charges by the state of New York for having fraudulently certified. There's no way I'm going to do it. The email doesn't absolve me of any liabilities to have it to fraud. There's no way that I'm going to commit fraud, especially not after having sworn an oath to the Constitution and the laws of the United States. I'm a veteran. I took that oath. It didn't go away when I got out of the service. It lives on. So, what I did is I contacted New York State Police after that. I was pretty ticked off, thinking I'm still dealing with these clowns trying to muscle me into committing fraud so that way they can get some pat on the back from some state program and get some more funding. Salamanca people there, the Cattaraugus County Community Action Program, they managed at that time about $680,000 worth of funds for residential repairs to persons who were economically disadvantaged. So there's a whole process for applying and getting your home worked on through the program if you need something done to your house, like a new roof or something's going wrong with your house and you don't have the funds to take care of it. You might qualify for some of these funds. It's New York State takes tax dollars away from people through sales tax and all these jeopardy taxation things where you're paying taxes 4 and 5 times on every dollar that you take in or spend as a family or as a person or as a business in this state. I call it jeopardy taxation because you're getting taxed in a cycle for your dollar. So in the end, your buying power of your dollar in New York State is actually about 65% of what it should be per dollar. Which is a travesty. I think it's horrible. I think it's illegal. I think it's irresponsible. I think it's the way that socialist nations conduct their business and their governments, and it's inappropriate for the American people or residents and citizens of the state of New York to have to deal with that type of thing. So I contacted the New York State Police and I informed them of what's going on, and the trooper I talked to said, "Well, don't really have anything to do with this. I'm not going to do anything." Which is unbelievable to me, to think that the state troopers write so many traffic tickets, right? They can go out and give little old ladies a bunch of traffic tickets and take their money when they're on fixed incomes or other people, whatever, stuff they're doing. If you got a headlight out, like I did one night, they will pull you over in a heartbeat, just hoping to snag somebody for a DWI or a possession charge or any other type of, maybe you've got a warrant. So they're just hunting down anything that they can that's real easy, like skimming the top of the pond. They're not digging deep into things, it seems like. Because when I inform them of this collusion for fraud between the Cattaraugus County Community Action Program and the Office of General Services Program Director for Service Disabled Veteran Owned Businesses, he had no interest. He said, "Well, maybe you can call an attorney general. Here, call one of the attorney generals. I don't really know who you should call or what the number is that you should call, but sure you can find somebody." So I found a number, called him up. Nobody answers, right? And I get a voicemail box. Leave them a message. This is last year, right after 4th of July. I was out in Maine building a log cabin for a customer who was actually a Portland PD officer. Great gentleman, very nice gentleman. And we built him a beautiful log home. And I was pretty ticked off. He was the witness to when I was kind of yelling at the program director saying, "I'm the only one with a horse in this race." And to think that I'm going to get pushed into you're trying to push me into committing fraud against the state of New York that would give me a criminal liability is insanity to me. There's no way I'm going to go along with that. So I left the voicemail for the attorney general, one of the attorneys, district attorneys somewhere. And No response, nothing. I mean, no email, no call back, no letter in the mail, no nothing. Nobody was interested. Nobody gives a shit because it's state money being spent by state boys and a state program manager that's handling, the pats on the backs and the compliance for the mandated participation that's required for disadvantaged businesses. So it's a big ring. And to think that little old me, who had only done 3 projects with Cattaraugus County, and the first one was fine. I did all the work. They loved my work. It was superior to most other contractors. I've been in the business quite a while. Not that I'm an expert on everything, but we do decent work. We're pretty, we're reputable. And so we did the other 2 projects, and then they start leaning on me to commit fraud. So I still haven't got any resolution for that, but the reality is here in New York State, so I was trying to find a lawyer the other day to try to start to handle some of these things, to let this stuff get fixed, let things be improved. So I called around to several lawyers' offices, and the answers that I got from them was that we don't represent business, we represent criminal law. We're defense lawyers for criminal law or divorce lawyers. So in New York State, 9 out of 10 lawyers handle criminal defense law and family divorce law. It kind of tells you a lot about the state of the cohesion of the society, like what's happening in the cultural realm of our society here in New York State. If most of the lawyers are representing criminals, that means there aren't lawyers representing businesses for, the benefits of being in business, representing, contract law to make sure your contracts are correct, reviewing anything that might be suspect, making sure you're limiting your liabilities with the correct contract clauses, things like that are, good and right and represent a progressing society, an improving society. So instead, what we have is criminal defense and family law. So what that tells you is that in the legal spectrum of our state, which is a critical area, it's the interface between citizens. Citizens are here doing their thing. The state law is over here doing its thing. And in the middle is where they come together with the lawyers in the courts, right? So what it tells me about New York State reality is that our culture in this state is one of persecuting citizens as criminals more so than empowering citizens to be business owners, entrepreneurs, successful citizens with good quality of life and property rights. Uh, so it's basically a sign, a signature that we're on the downhill slope. And I don't blame people. That's not the people's fault by any means. We are experiencing this because of the defunct administrations of different agencies in this state, in my opinion. And I believe that I'm absolutely correct after having done some research and experienced a lot of different things, having studied military law when I was in, and state laws in different states that I've lived in, and now in New York. Um, I experienced a similar thing in New Hampshire. New Hampshire is just absolutely saturated with reject drug addicts. I mean, it's just horrible in that state. So I haven't had any luck in finding any actual representation for my company to be able to take some action on these issues, but hopefully in the future we will. I just want to put this out here, and I will be pursuing action to make sure that the illegal behavior of our state administrators and nonprofit agencies that are getting fat off of state grant money are going to act correctly. They're going to follow the law, act in a just way, and represent the best of our society, not the worst. They're getting tax dollars to do what they do. And when a grant is funded, I'm going to wrap this up real quick. I'm running out of time. What happens is that the administrators can keep up to 20% of that grant or more for themselves to administer the grant. So when they get $1 million grant, they get $200,000 to administer those the other $800,000 worth of money. So crazy, right?